earth. He had a small notebook like this. That man, people didn't know him well. Once he tells you something, make sure he writes down in his notebook. If he does that, that thing will happen. He will follow it to the letter and it will happen. I can tell you in my own home area, Western Kenya, I used, when it has rained heavily, I couldn't access the road to my home in Kakamega. And because that road was not tarmacked, from a place called Buyangu to a Kero near Mias. So one day, I went to see the president, and I told him, Your Excellency, the whole sector, Gen of Court, when it rains, he can't access his home. And there is a road which was surveyed in 1972, and it is not yet tarmacked. When Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga was a minister for transport, for I think housing, transport and communication, something like that, he managed to make that road an all-weather road by putting maram. But then Kibaki said, no, he called the late Miraria, who was the Minister of Finance. He said, since you are going to attend a meeting of G22, see where you can get some funds to tarmac that road. And he did write in a small notebook like this. If you go to that particular road, it is tarmacked. If you go at Tomboya Labour College, we told him we want to build a workers' resource center. And we had agreed with all Chinese Federation of Trade Unions to get a nod from your government, and then they will assist us to approach Chinese government to put a resource center for us at Tomboya Labour College. He called Kinyua. Joseph Kinyua is still alive. He's at the State House. Assisting Uhuru Kenyatta. He told him, no, how much will it cost? We said 500 million. He said, put down. He did put down in his small notebook. And he said, 500 million, we cannot go to China to ask for that money. This is a workers' organization, and this resource center, even government officers will be using it. Let's build it for you. And as we earmark for big projects like Thick Highway and so on with Chinese. And he built it. But Kibaki did provide Kenyans with infrastructure, of which Uhuru has also done very well to make sure that where he didn't complete, he could continue completing. All this, what is happening, are things that Kibaki wanted to be in place. The other area that if Kibaki was today living, Kenyans would be proud of was Konza City. Konza City, he wanted it to decongest Nairobi so that we have an adjacent post-independent city like what Tanzanians did with Dodoma, or Moroccans with their new city of in Morocco we have a third city, because we have Rabat, we have those other two cities, but the third one, I've just forgotten the name, after independence. Or in Egypt, they have post-independence cities like Sharm el-Sheikh or Uganda. Kibaki wanted to give us a post-independence city like what the Nigerians have done in Abuja, to make sure Konza was another city. And that is what Nairobi requires now. So he had an elaborate plan of modernizing Kenya as a whole, and he did very well in that tenure of 10 years.
Kibaki came into power when the economy of Kenya was at its deathbed. What was the secret behind him reviving the economy and leaving it at stable condition?
What he did, Kibaki, when he came in, Kanu, we had run down the economy. We Kanu guys. We were at -2% of our total GDP at that particular time when he came in. Nothing happening. We had not done very well for Kenyans. And when he came in, within first 3 years, it is our Department of Education, Economic and Research, which told Kenyans we are at 5% of our economy. And come 2005, banks were hawking. So what Kibaki did was a very simple thing. He sealed out cartels from State House. He fought corruption until he lost some of his own trusted ministers. He brought down corruption. When you fight two people the two groups of people. One are cartels and corrupt people. You bring it down, you will attract both direct and indirect investment. People want to invest in a country where it is free of corruption, where there are no cartels. Cartels in oil industry, cartels in sugar industry. You see, cartels in sugar industry crippled all our sugar industries. Mumias in Zoya, Sony in South Nyanza, and so on, Chemelil. These are cartels bringing the country to the knees. You know, Kibaki, after 4, he had no any other friends apart from going back to his grandchildren and so on, after 4. And there were no groups of people canvassing for purposes of securing issues of procurement and issues of tenders and so on. In Kenya, even a 2-year-old boy, he knows what a tender is. This is what brings down the economy. The economy cannot grow if there is a lot of spillage, if there is a lot of money going out, in and out and out. That's the money you people you are clapping for. When you see politician talking, oh, he has given here 2 million, 3 million, you clap, you are asked to tumpigia makofi moja. Unapigia pesa yako imeibiwa yako 2, 3. Bwana so and so, come and talk to your people, because he has brought stolen money. Once you tempt that, the economy will grow. This country is big. We are a satellite of economic activities in the region. And this is what Kibaki realized. So if you tame corruption, our GDP will grow.
I understand Kibaki was a man of few words.
Completely.
But still working and with few acquaintances.
Yeah.
Did he even make closer friends?
What Kibaki did when he came in, he didn't want political friends. He wanted somebody who can be given an assignment and he accomplishes. One of such persons was a Mr. Waweru of KRA, if you heard of Waweru. That was such a rude manager. Kibaki told him, disconnect that direct line between your office and State House. I don't want to be communicating with you on issues of exemptions. Don't exempt anybody from paying taxes. That's what the first thing Kibaki told him. And then he introduced also the new system of collecting taxes through various types of collecting. He devised methods of collecting taxes. So the tax evaders or people who are used to evading paying taxes were caught into that type of bracket and so on. And everybody, he netted almost everybody, making sure that everybody pays taxes. And there was no corruption. You could not influence him for anything else. Members of parliament tried to make noise on the new shrewd way of collecting taxes, but they could not convince him. And therefore, when after 3-4 years, there was no external borrowing from World Bank and IMF, we had only a debt of about 5% to be part of our annual budget. So Kibaki knew what he wanted and where we were going. And if he was leaving, he would have decongested. If he was still in power, he would have decongested the Nairobi city. Uhuru had a very good vision, but he had a wrong partner. So that is where the problem was, because you need to partner up with people who can give you maximum support. And Kibaki had very good loyal people like Muda Wori, Kalonzo Musyoka was one of the best deputies of President Kibaki. They did a good job. And also at one time when they teamed up with Engineer Raila Amolo Odinga and people like Mudavadi as deputy prime ministers and constitutional minister like Martha Karua. And he had a good team, to speak the truth. And that propelled him more to do good things. But within your bus, if you have pickpockets, my friend, you have a lot of problems. Kibaki was a wonderful, accomplished economist and a leader of substance, and a person that I wish he became a role model for the younger Kenyans who would like to grow to higher heights or spur their own economic growth in their own sphere. He was a highly disciplined person, particularly when it comes to, and determined to make sure that he achieves what he wants. So that is Kibaki, and he's a man who respected institutions, government institutions. That is why he left this country intact, marvelous and mammoth development, and we will remember him for so many, many years to come. He had no friend, including his former Makererians, people like Magari, who was finance secretary. When he left, they were all arrested, including Miraria, his own accomplished Minister of Finance. When he was dying, he had a case in court. People like Murungaru, who are very close to him, he didn't care. He had no friends. And I can tell you what, at NSSF, we lost about 253 million Kenya shillings, and they went through Eurobank. The owner of the Eurobank, the son, the father was the chairman of Kibaki's DP party in Udaya. But Kibaki told him, please, if it was workers' money, you have good lawyers, I will not help you. And he closed down the bank. He was highly disciplined, and on his work there was no lobbying, nothing. He was a man who was disciplined and prepared to do away with his friend in case he was involved in underdeals in the government.
Thank you.